Once, a young father stood in a room where one signature could have made him almost a billionaire overnight. Instead, he quietly pushed the papers back across the table, picked up his little daughter's hand, and walked away from a $900 million deal. Everyone in the room thought he had lost his mind. They laughed as he left. But before the week was over, those same people would learn that money can buy power, but it can never buy dignity, respect, or kindness. Have you ever been judged before someone even knew your story? Have you ever been treated like you didn't belong because of how you looked or where you came from? Then stay with me, because today's story might remind you that the greatest victories don't always come with a paycheck. Before we begin, welcome to Spread Kindness. If stories like this touch your heart, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from and what kindness means to you. Your support helps us share more inspiring stories with people around the world. Marcus Johnson was only 32 years old, but life had already tested him more than most people twice his age. He was a successful technology CEO, leading one of the fastest-growing software companies in America. His business was valued at hundreds of millions of dollars, and investors admired his vision. Yet the title Marcus loved most wasn't CEO. It was Dad. 5 years earlier, his wife had passed away after a sudden illness, leaving him alone to raise their little daughter, Ava. Every morning, Marcus made breakfast, braided Ava's hair as best as he could, packed her lunch, and drove her to school before heading to work. At night, no matter how busy he was, he read her bedtime stories. She was the reason he worked so hard. Marcus never forgot where he came from. He had grown up in a small neighborhood where money was always tight. His mother worked 2 jobs and still found time to teach him one lesson every single day. People will remember how you made them feel long after they forget what you gave them. Those words became the foundation of his life. One spring afternoon, Marcus received an invitation to meet the prestigious Ashford family. They owned one of the biggest investment firms in the country and wanted to purchase his company for $900 million. It was the opportunity every entrepreneur dreamed about. Marcus arrived at their private estate wearing a simple navy blue suit. Ava came with him because her babysitter had canceled. She wore a neat yellow dress and carried her favorite storybook. As they entered the grand dining hall, conversations suddenly became quiet. Some members of the Ashford family exchanged uncomfortable looks. One older man whispered something that made another person laugh. Marcus noticed, but he stayed calm. During lunch, one family member asked, "So, you're really the CEO?" Marcus smiled politely. "Yes, I founded the company 10 years ago." Another person looked at Ava and asked, "Couldn't you find someone to watch your child during such an important meeting?" Marcus gently placed his hand on Ava's shoulder. "My daughter is never an inconvenience. She's the most important part of my life." The room grew silent for a moment before another voice broke it. "I just expected someone different." Everyone understood what those words really meant. Marcus could have argued. He could have become angry. Instead, he simply smiled with quiet confidence. The negotiations continued, but the disrespect became harder to ignore. The Ashford family talked about profits, control, and prestige, but not once did they speak about the employees who had built the company or the communities Marcus supported through scholarships and youth programs. Then came the final contract. One executive proudly slid the papers across the table. "Congratulations, Marcus. You're about to become even richer." Marcus slowly read every page. Buried deep inside the agreement was a clause requiring the company to eliminate hundreds of jobs during the first year after the sale. He looked up. "What happens to these employees?" The executive shrugged. "They're just numbers. That's business." Marcus thought about the single mothers working customer support, the young engineers paying off college loans, and the janitor who always brought candy for Ava whenever she visited the office. They weren't numbers. They were families. Marcus quietly closed the folder. "I'm sorry," he said. The room became still. "I can't sign this." The Ashford family stared at him in disbelief. "Do you realize you're walking away from $900 million? Marcus nodded. "I do." One investor laughed. "You'll regret this for the rest of your life." Marcus stood up, took Ava's small hand, and smiled. "I'd rather lose money than lose the values that built this company." Without another word, he walked toward the door. Outside, Ava looked up at her father. "Daddy, are we okay?" Marcus knelt beside her. "We're more than okay. We always choose people over money." Ava wrapped her tiny arms around his neck. "I'm proud of you." Those simple words meant more than any business deal. News of the failed agreement spread quickly. At first, many people criticized Marcus. Financial experts called him foolish. But then an employee leaked details of the contract. The public discovered that Marcus had refused the deal because he didn't want hundreds of hard-working families to lose their jobs. Everything changed. People across America praised his courage. Customers supported his company more than ever. Talented workers applied because they wanted a leader who valued people. Within a year, Marcus's business had grown beyond anyone's expectations. New ethical investors joined the company, allowing it to expand without sacrificing its values. Ironically, the company eventually became worth far more than the original offer. One evening, Marcus attended a charity event supporting children from low-income families. As he greeted guests, he noticed an elderly man standing quietly nearby. It was the same member of the Ashford family who had laughed during the meeting. The man's shoulders seemed heavy. "I owe you an apology," he said softly. Marcus listened. "I spent my whole life believing success was measured by money. Watching what you did taught me that true success is measured by character." Marcus smiled kindly. "We all have the chance to grow." The older man nodded with tears in his eyes. "Thank you for showing me that." Marcus shook his hand warmly. There was no anger. No revenge. Only grace. Later that night, Ava asked her father why he forgave someone who had treated him so poorly. Marcus smiled. "Because kindness doesn't mean people always deserve it. Sometimes they need it the most when they've forgotten how to give it." Ava smiled back. "I want to grow up just like you." Marcus hugged her tightly. "No," he whispered. "Grow up even kinder." Years later, people still talked about the businessman who walked away from $900 million. Some remembered the deal. Others remembered the headlines. But the people whose jobs were saved remembered something much greater. They remembered a leader who believed every person mattered. And that choice changed countless lives forever. As this story reminds us, kindness is never weakness. Standing for people instead of profit may cost something today, but it often creates a future richer than money could ever buy. If this story touched your heart, remember that every small act of compassion can change someone's life in ways you'll never see. Thank you for spending your time with Spread Kindness. Until next time, take care of one another, choose respect over judgment, and never miss an opportunity to spread kindness wherever you go.